Now, how far can Britain influence the behaviour and decisions of its independent former colonies? Well, quite a lot, it seems. That's the suspicion anyway, which has prompted activists to approach the BULAWAYO High Courts to seek the British Prime Minister Theresa May's help to release official Zimbabwe papers in a very sensitive matter.
Yes, they've called on the UK to help force Zimbabwe's former leader Robert Mugabe and the incumbent President Emmerson Mnangagwa to release the findings of a commission of inquiry into the Gukurahundi atrocities, the killings by an infamous army brigade that took place in the 1980s. I've been speaking to the academic and historian Hazel Cameron of St Andrews University in Scotland, who has researched unavailable official British and US government communications relating to the Matabeleland massacres. She first recounted the events under Mr. Mugabe's government that led to the inquiry.
Zimbabwe gained independence in the 1980s as a result of the Lancaster House Agreement in London. And when he was first voted in as President of Zimbabwe in April 1980, his main priority for himself and his senior command was to literally wipe out all political opposition. So to this end, the army and the CIO in Zimbabwe launched a campaign that targeted prominent members of the communities. It targeted teachers, counsellors, nurses in the hospitals. However, literally hundreds of thousands of innocent civilians were also targeted.
So what does your research tell us about the possibility that the United Kingdom had known about this massacre?
It establishes that the British military, the British High Commission in Zimbabwe, they had detailed knowledge of these atrocities as they unfolded in Matabeleland from a very early stage. And in contrast to their American counterparts, the Brits were consistent in their efforts to minimise the magnitude of the 5th Brigade atrocities. Britain's economic interests, they trumped any human rights concerns. They basically swept under the carpet what was happening. As guarantors, the British government, they had a duty to restrain Mugabe from committing these gross human rights abuses. These include mass beatings of young and old, the systematic mass rapes of victims as young as 11 years of age from people that I've interviewed that's come across, mass killings that included the wanton killing of babies and the elderly, as well as detentions and torture in extermination camps.
So what's the likelihood of the reports being released, not only on the side of the UK government, but also on the side of the Zimbabwe government currently under President Mnangagwa?
Basically, those same people who sought to have a one-party state in collaboration with Mugabe in the immediate post-independence period, they're the same people who were responsible for Gukurahundi, and they continue to hold senior positions within the current government of Zimbabwe. So, release of these reports, they would undoubtedly reveal these people's own significant roles in the mass atrocities, and it would compromise their relations with external governments. So because of this, it's highly unlikely that we're going to see these reports being made public as a result of this application.
How important do you think it is for Britain to play a role in releasing these documents?
Britain's role in Gukurahundi was undoubtedly unethical, and it was utterly shameful. Britain failed to protect the people who were being targeted by the new Zimbabwean government. The blacks of Matabeleland were abandoned to their fate. The British now have to accept responsibility for their lack of intervention. They now have this opportunity to play a role in bringing peace and stability to Zimbabwe.
That's the academic and historian Hazel Cameron of St Andrews University in Scotland.
You're listening to Newsday with Nkemi Fijika and Carney Sharp. To France soon, where this year parents are now expected to vaccinate their children